in that thing. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. We're going to start with the board roll call. Danetta Roberts. Ted, thank you. Ted Gibbs. Here. Martin Poor. Here. Gary Gilbert. Not yet. Will you click the people button so we can just see when somebody may be sitting in the lobby, just in case we miss it? Thank you. Jeremiah Burns, Isaac Akia, Humberto Ramos, Teresa Scheel, Robert Snipes, Regina Frankie, Mark Davis. Here. I am here. No Mark Gilbert, no Stephanie Gonzalez, Sherry McDaniel, Nick Sherman, no Stephen Fonville, James Forcell, Doris Stubing, Mabel Vaughn, Keith Steffen, and I know that Elvis is not in the building. He's in Vegas tonight. So no Mike Andrews. Okay, we easily have a quorum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 14. Thank you. Okay, we'll now, I don't have Mike Andrews. Anyone want to do the invocation for us? Do I have anyone who will do the invocation for us? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Y'all can remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. For item 4, announcements, the Board of Trustees of the Canyon Regional Water Authority may during the meeting close the meeting and hold an executive session pursuant to and in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. The Board of Trustees may at any time during the meeting close the meeting and hold an executive session for consultation with its attorneys concerning any of the matters to be considered during the meeting pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Do we have any announcements? Thank you. Happy Veterans Day. That's a great announcement. Item 5, public comments. Comments on non-agenda items. No discussion from the board. 3-minute time limit. Do we have any public comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 5B, comments on specific items on this agenda. Discussion from and with the board may be allowed. 3-minute time limit per citizen, and a time may not be shared or ceded to another citizen. Is there anyone for public comment on a specific item on this agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 6, consent items. Item 6A is CRWA 2511-001 concerning the approval of the minutes from the October 14th, 2025 Board of Trustee meeting. And item 6B is concerning the approval of a financial and check registers report for both the September and the October 2025 financial reports. I've heard that both of these items will be pulled for the minutes. When I had gone over the board packet, I had noticed that the amount and number of trustees didn't match up with the amount of trustees that was saying had said A or nay. There was only 18 on the roster and not 20. And so I know Mark Davis was one of them, but I needed staff to kind of track down who the other person was. It wasn't on the minutes. And there was a couple other cleanup items that I thought were important enough for us to address. Doris had sent me an email earlier today with a few items that she wanted to see corrected too. My suggestion is we table the minutes for next month so that staff can actually get us who needs to be a part of those minutes, what trustees were here.
I would like to pull 6B. I had a budget committee meeting on Wednesday and was presented a set of numbers which seemed to have changed between what I was given in the budget meeting and what was actually presented in tonight's packet. So
okay,
I'd like to have a little bit more time to look over
no
that.
problem. So item 6A minutes, do we have a motion to table to the next meeting or second? Okay.
Nick Sherman seconded.
Keith was the first and Mr. Sherman was the second. Thank you. Okay, any discussion on tabling the minutes until next month? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passed. Okay, item 6B, Sherry, you explained that you had some concern that there's discrepancies in what the budget committee had last week versus what's in the packet tonight. Obviously, we don't have Joan here tonight to talk about it. I assume you're asking for a tabling of the financial until next month.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to table.
Okay, Ms. Shield made a motion.
Second.
Keith made a second. Any other discussion on tabling the financial? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. So item 6A and B have been tabled. I'll get with staff on a few of the minute stuff, and Mr. Daniel, if you'll get with staff on the financial stuff, please. Okay, item 7A, reports, water supply, facility operations, and capital projects. And this is going to be a discussion on current drought conditions, wholesale water supply status, water treatment, storage and transmission operations, current and near-term capital improvement projects.
And the water treatment operations and drought conditions, there's updates in your packets. I do have some notes here. I do want to start off real quick with a couple of administrative items. So we did conduct interviews for the assistant general manager position. I did have a follow-up discussion with a couple of the candidates, and an offer will be made this week. Interviews for the controller position will be scheduled this week. Probably we'll go into next week also. My goal is to complete those interviews next week. And unless there's I have a second round, I'll select a candidate by the end of next week for that. Any questions on those two positions?
Yes, how many controller candidates did you have?
Probably 12 or 15 at this point. It's quite a few, some good candidates.
And then on the I guess how you narrow down the controller position, how exactly what's your plan on that? I also attended the finance committee meeting, and I think a controller is a critical need that we have to get right. So I guess I don't know if you're at liberty to discuss, what's your plan, or how do you think you'll go about narrowing down the candidates so we make sure we get the correct person?
Well, I'll just interview all those who are qualified for the position. And I'll be asking a couple of board members to join me in those interviews. And at the end of those interviews, if there's a clear, best candidate, then I'd make an offer then. If there's not, then there might be a second round of interviews.
That's a good idea, not it.
I've got a question.
Will you turn your mic on? Then yours is dead.
There you go.
Never mind, it's on. So I got a question with regards to that, Carrie, because it's my understanding the board only engages the general manager. The board does not engage staff. So how is it possible that you can have board members sit on an interview committee? To me, that seems like a big time conflict. So, I mean, Mr. Barrera maybe can put some insight into that. But again, the board is only responsible for the general manager. General manager is responsible for staff. I know this is a key position, but we've left Mr. Abrick to be the leader of this organization. So he has to be able to select whom he selects.
And the final decision will be mine and mine alone. However, I'm asking for assistance and recommendations from others to help me make a selection for the best candidate.
I agree 100%. I was reaching for my mic before you were.
I disagree.
I know that, Nick, you had said that you thought that was a good plan. I don't like board members meddling with individual positions because I do think it undermines the general manager. I mean, if he wants to ask for some help and some guidance on stuff, by all means, but I want to make sure that we don't get in the business of starting to get into the weeds and getting further down from the GM, because that's not our job here.
Well, it doesn't necessarily need to be board members. I mean, consultants, the attorneys, just an extra set of eyes and ears is all I was suggesting. I immediately said I don't want to do it because I don't want to do it and I don't want to get into that. But we have to make correct good hires for these high level admin positions that are going to be very critical to the organization moving forward. So if it doesn't need to be a board member, it doesn't need to be a board member. I'll leave all that in your court, but also don't feel like you're out on an island by yourself. Talk to whomever you think is appropriate to bounce things off people. Maybe not have them in the interview, but discuss with someone. Look for help where you need it, so that you can have some wise counsel, whoever you decide that counsel should be, to help you make sure you're making the right hire.
I agree exactly what you said, and I didn't mean to leave you out on an island where no one can help you and we can't talk to you. We want to help you in any way we can. I want to be very, very careful that this board understands its role, which is to oversee the general manager and not to oversee the staff, whether that's, Bobby here or Dave McMullen over in the corner. This is not our job. Yeah. And if we're getting into those weeds, I think that can be not a great thing for an organization.
Okay. It's hard for me to know where that line is sometimes.
You asked me the question and I was trying to hit the right button here, but I concur with what he said.
You don't know where it is till you cross it.
Yeah.
I know now.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all.
Will
Well,
you turn your mic on, please?
if,
Will you turn your mic on, please?
if anybody has any concerns about a candidate, I guess they could express their concerns to the general manager and say, please make sure that he has this qualification and that qualification. We definitely need somebody with investment policy, that's for sure. So that's critical on my part for the investment policy to get revised and everything.
Okay, sorry, Carrie. I didn't-
Only other note I have under that is the general manager's contract expires after March of 2026. And the general manager would love to know what's happening after that and not wait until March
Sure.
to find that out.
We owe that to you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I talked to him in the middle of the night, usually about 3:30 a.m.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll need to have an agenda item for how y'all want us to proceed with that, and whether you're trying to task that with the executive committee, the full board. The full board obviously needs to have its input. And we are going to have to do that sooner rather than later. It's not something you do in March and April and May of next year.
Carrie, I have a question with regards to the operations report. I've noticed on Hayes Caldwell, and I don't have it in front of me, I noticed when I was reading it, that on Hayes Caldwell, you have numbers with regards to the amount of water that was used, and you have another graph that shows, again, based on entities and amount of water that's been used. Those numbers are different by 2 acre feet. Can you explain that, or can you maybe next time, maybe the numbers are wrong, but I went through Wells Ranch numbers are correct, Lake Dunlap numbers, it's just Hayes Caldwell is 2 acre feet difference. I don't know what's going on there.
The only explanation I might offer right now is that one may be off the SCADA readings and one be off of manual, where there's a little difference there. I'm looked at David. Is that correct?
That and I know that I did out. So that's three or four right there.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess just moving forward, just kind of note what's going on, so that way anybody else has a question, they could say the numbers are jiving for this reason, or they're not jiving for this reason.
Okay, certainly. A couple of other things I have specific to the projects. Hayes Caldwell, the Reedville pipeline, that is approval of the construction contract is on the agenda this evening. If approved by the Board of Trustees, we have met with the contractor and they intend to mobilize probably December 1. They want to hit the ground running and get as much work done as possible before the end of the year. If you'll recall, we have to begin construction no later than December 18th to meet the requirements of the wheeling agreement with Maxwell Special Utility District. Also, on the mobile membrane filtration units, there's still ongoing coordination with the TCEQ to satisfy their requirements. The rental unit is currently in operation and will stay in operation. And then there's an on-site meeting with the TCEQ to look at the both systems on Wednesday. If they give all the approvals, we can put the second mobile unit into operation as well. We're going to be scheduling a meeting quickly with the participating members in Hayes Caldwell to talk about moving forward with the facility and the possibility of adding a third mobile membrane unit. There's options there to do that to get us more time until we figure out exactly what we want to do with replacing the Coke filters. So just a discussion item right now, but that's one of the options that I want to talk to the group about. Last thing, Hayes Caldwell, the pilot studies is still ongoing. Those studies are I think nearing the end of their second stage, and we'll be going into the third stage pretty quick, I believe. Any questions on Hayes Caldwell?
At the construction committee meeting, we had heard from staff about, some of the challenges with the existing Coke filtration system, which we know is well beyond its service life at this point. The Hayes Caldwell Group's going to have to get together very soon to talk about what the future looks like for that facility as far as membranes are concerned, because the Coke system is already beyond its life. We don't have 3 more years of letting it go. And so I think that's really important. It hit my alarm bells when I heard it, and I brought it up at the managers meeting. And I think it's important for y'all to understand the seriousness of that situation. So you're not surprised when there's a meeting with the Hayes Caldwell Group and they're saying we need to push forward with a solution, just so y'all are all aware.
Can you share with us the contractor that's going to do the pipeline through Reeville?
Their name's Civcon.
Zip?
Civcon,
Civ.
Vivcon. And the recommendation letter in the bid packet is in the bid tab is in the board packet. I have not worked with them before, but all their references were very good. Mr. Rodriguez and I met with them to discuss, getting started and kind of getting set up in anticipation of a board approval. And they seem like they're really on top of things. So,
Thank you.
yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, in regards to that filtration system, we will, well, it looks like we're needing 3 filtration trailers. Is the design of the new plant, will it accommodate the capacity? Are we going to have the new filtration system plus a filtration trailer? Will we have a brick and mortar building that will accommodate the capacity of the plant?
Yes, sir. So if we did go with a third mobile unit, one of the things that would potentially allow us to do is gut out the old Coke filters and use the same building for the new membranes to save some costs on a new building. Without that, we would have to build a new building to house the membranes.
Okay.
I guess that's the short answer. But when we replace the membranes, if we go with a third mobile unit, that'll treat all the capacity that we need for it to treat. It'll treat the existing capacity.
When the plant comes online?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
And then that'll give us time to replace the Coke filters. If you'll remember, one of the desires of the participating members is that we don't issue bonds that they have to attach their name to for the permanent membrane.
Okay.
Because it impacts your individual bond capacity.
Yes.
And so that's one of the options is these mobile units might give us some time to build up a fund, but it definitely gives us time to plan and consider what the best path is to get those new membranes in.
Okay.
You've touched on an important thing and something that we've not done a good job at here at Canyon Regional for any of the decades, and that's having the extra capacity you need for an emergency or for something to go down and need to be repaired. And so you have a facility right now that can't have one single train go down.
Mhm.
You don't have a backup. You don't have that redundancy where one can be offline and you have another. And that's a problem. That's a problem all the way across the board. It's a problem at Wells Ranch not having additional wells. It's a problem here at Lake Dunlap and not having an additional rack. And I think just remember that moving forward is we always need that redundancy within reason. We don't need a whole separate facility, second facility, but we need to make sure that we have a little bit of redundancy in our operations so that we can withstand having to take something offline for a week because it needs to be cleaned or painted or changed
Okay.
out.
Well, when it's all said and done, we won't have a permanent temporary filtration trailer parked there online. I'm assuming it's been engineered to, to accommodate the capacity where we could get these trailers out of there, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yes, sir, that is correct. That's the goal, is to ultimately have no mobile units there. Wells Ranch, not a lot to update necessarily, but I have two meetings scheduled, one on the 14th with the Wells Ranch 3 participating members to talk about advancing the next project. And then pursuant to that, on the 18th, a member with the Wells Ranch members from all phases to talk about kind of I don't want to say the next phase, but the next project, and talk about options for water in Gonzales County. So looking to hopefully come out of those meetings with some decisions. One of the things we're looking at is whether or not we want to let some of the leases go in Gonzales County, and see, how many we want to maintain, and then how many we potentially don't need to keep paying for. Our next lease payments are going to be due in January. And so I'm hoping to get at least a beat on that by then, so we can see if there's any we can not make payments on in January.
One question, the further down in the agenda 8C, that item, maybe I'll ask later, but I'll tell you what, I'll ask later because I'm going out of order here. I apologize.
It's okay.
Brandon's got the laser eyes looking at me like you're going out of order. I apologize. I'll ask the question when we get to
We'll get through the reports and we'll get to the meat.
Yes, sir.
That's all the
Any-
updates I have in mind.
Any questions for Terry on item 7A? Okay, move on to external affairs, regional planning administrative reports. This is discussion on regional partnerships, regulatory agencies, groundwater districts, regional water planning, long-term capital improvements, legal and legislative matters.
And I don't have a lot on that, other than just inform on the next meetings. In the Regional Planning Group, I don't have any updates. The next planning group meeting is planned for January the 23rd at 9:30. And this will be the first one on the heels of finishing up the last planning cycle. So there's already preparations underway to get forward to the 2031 cycle. Mr. Ramos, did you have anything for regional? Groundwater Management Area 13, no updates there. The next regular meeting is on January the 9th at 10. The Gonzales Conservation District, they actually have a meeting tomorrow. And then the Guadalupe Conservation District has a meeting on Thursday of this week. And then just real quick, the Alliance Regional Water Authority, the coordination with GBRA and the litigation committee for ARWA is ongoing. We've had several meetings with them and really just talking about the issues with the water treatment plant and, the best strategy towards recovering losses. Not a lot I can share on that, I don't think right now, but we're working towards the best outcome we can get. And then the next regular board meeting for ARWA is on the 19th.
Did all the member entities pass the funding from last month?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Okay, questions on item 7B? Okay, item 7C, committee and board of managers reports. This is discussion on meetings held by the executive budget, construction, contract review committees, and the board of managers. Executive committee, we met to discuss the agenda as we always do last Monday. That was about the meat of our discussion, was just the items we're going to have on this agenda. Budget committee.
So we had our budget committee meeting last Wednesday, and we reviewed the budget versus actuals for FY25. And we found that there appears to be funds left over from the previous year budget. So we are now trying to come up with a policy to true up these funds at the end of each year. And so right now, that's where we are, is we're going to probably have to have another budget meeting. we need to come up with a policy, and we just need to have everybody's input as entities on how we want to true up the money that's left from the fiscal year 25 and going forward. So that's kind of why I pulled the numbers again, because there's still a lot of discrepancies in some of those numbers. So
For example, salaries, I think, is one thing you and I've talked about. You know, we've been funding a lot of positions. The AGM position's been funded for a couple of years now. There's some other positions that have been funded. Well, the way our budget works is those positions go into the cost and you're billed, 1/12 of that every single month, regardless if that person's actually been put in place or not. So I think what the budget committee is looking at is when we have those kinds of, revenue that we didn't expect, income that didn't have an expense to offset it, is there some minimum fund balances we can keep? Can we transfer some of that money over to repair and replacement to offset some of the costs we may have had the next year in repair and replacement? There's some way to kind of true those costs up. And I think they're looking for guidance. So if any of you have great ideas, I think they'd love to hear them. Anything else for the budget committee?
no, we'll probably, depending on if we're going to, I guess it still hasn't decided if we're having a December meeting or not. But I mean, if we do have a possibility of having another budget meeting in December, I think that would be good before the holidays. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sherman, construction committee.
Yes, sir. Mr. Averett did cover most of what I was going to mention, so thank you for getting most of that. I did want to point out the Hayes Caldwell pipeline, the CivCon. We have both the bid tab and the recommendation letter in our packet. We had recommendation letter, but we did not have the bid tab in the construction committee, so the committee could not fully review it, but the information is in there. And then the second item is there's a change order for currency exchange that we were able to briefly cover. We did not have the legal recommendation. We verbally had it, but we didn't have it in our committee packet. It does seem like we are on the hook for currency exchange based on the contract that was sent over that we signed. So the committee had some discussion about having legal review all these type of contracts in the future before we sign them, so that something like that ideally will be caught by legal, and then we can say, no, we don't agree to that clause in the future. So I think that's within the general manager's purview to send things out, just to give them a once over. Feel like we could have many contracts reviewed for 199,000 and change that this one was.
Yeah.
So we do have that item on this agenda for board trustee approval.
Thank you. Any questions for the construction committee? Thank you for having your notes in the board packet. Okay, the contract review committee, those notes were in your board packet as well. Martin Poors here is the chair. Martin, anything you want to add to those meeting notes?
No, we met last week, and we met with financial advisor and bond counsel, is trying to figure out if we can separate bond language from water delivery language in the contracts going forward.
You make it sound so simple and easy.
It should be.
Thank you, sir. Questions for the contract review committee? Mr. Gage, the board of managers.
I didn't turn that one on, sir.
Back here. Okay, so the Board of Managers meeting this month, good evening, everybody, by the way. I think it went very well. I mean, we're starting to get into a little bit more technical details with the Board of Managers. I think that's where we need to be. So we're getting a little better. In the memo, you see we actually, under the staff's update for, water precipitation and drought update, the staff noted that the intake over at the San Marcos River is the river flow is low, right? So that could be a potential project that we need to look into in the future. So we'll start looking at that. We did discuss TTHM. There was a good report in the staff packet for us about TTHM. We noticed that we're having some spikes in that. So we asked the staff to go back and do some analysis, see if we can address that some point in the future. We also let me see, we also talked about revisiting the master plan, right? So we've talked about a couple of times that the board of managers said that we need to get a master plan together. So this time we decided we needed to go ahead and make a recommendation to the board of trustees to direct staff to solicit for proposals so we could get together and get that. And one of the key points we talked about is that any master plan CRWA does, and I understand there's been one on the books, it's been done, years ago. It needs to take into account all of our systems. And I think that's a key point. So we actually can update that and, show where the impacts are, growth and everything else. Now, I told you last month we toured Lake Dunlap. We did a debrief with the board of managers on the Lake Dunlap tour. A couple of highlights came out right out here where the intake is going into our treatment facility here. The way the channel has been kind of recarved by GBRA and the dam height is causing the water not to flow over the dam anymore. So essentially our intake is kind of in some still water that's causing some water quality issues. So we asked staff to go back to GBRA and look at different ways to mitigate that. And so they're going to look at that. And then let's see here. The last thing we talked about off that tour was how the plant is categorized in bin 1 or bin 2, and it has to do with the amount of cryptosporidium and how much we have to test and sample because of that. And so we talked about, we need to go back to TCEQ and see if we can't we're bin 2 now, see if we can get moved back to a bin 1. And that's just the level of, sampling that we have to do without getting too technical on it. And then finally, I would say, kind of support of what we were talking about the budget earlier. We talked about the necessity to have fund balances in certain GL codes for when things happen. So we have the reserve funds that we need, but also, the board of managers kind of supported that as well to take a look at how we do, the budget. And I think I covered it all, pending any questions of the team here with this big old microphone.
Any questions? I'm going to capitalize on your discussion real quick on bin 2 because I think it goes hand in hand with what Jim was talking about earlier and what we were talking about in making sure you have redundancy. These facilities weren't designed to be under a bin 2 classification, which means they have to do these integrity tests every day instead of every week. And that means they have to go offline for some amount of time for those tests to be conducted. And if they go offline, they aren't producing any water. And so, both of these facilities here at Lake Dunlap and Hayes Caldwell both have the bin 2 classification that requires that more stringent daily testing that takes them offline for some amount of time. And without that additional capacity, that redundancy, it means you're not making your water. And so I think it's really important. It's something that we've asked Focus Advocacy, legislative affairs consultant to kind of help us with a little bit and see if we can't find a way to get out of those.
Hey, there was one thing that I forgot to add, guys. It's like, so for you guys that are not general managers here, we talked about having our points of contact rosters updated for the operation team. So we ask all the entities of the board of managers to provide a primary and alternate point of contact. And I don't mean like the GM, right? We're talking operator level. So in Green Valley's sake, my operations manager and my water superintendent are my primary and alternate. So we're asking all the entities to do that. So that way, Mr. McMullen knows who to call in case we have an operational issue. So I just asked the board to support us on that. We're trying to increase operational communication.
Okay, thank you. On here, I'm sorry, I skipped over you, Ruben, in item 7B on the legal and legislative matters. Obviously, you see that Trey is not here tonight. Hopefully that means he's having a successful mediation. He started his mediation at 9 o'clock this morning and it was still going on at 5:45 when I talked to him last. So usually if you're still in mediation at that point in the day, it could be a decent sign. So hopefully from not hearing from him, maybe he's close on something.
King Solomon's working his magic.
Yes. And so we won't have Trey here tonight. Did you have anything specific to add, Ruben?
I was just going to say I have nothing in terms of legislative. Obviously, the sessions have ended. But with respect to the Reedville project, I'm sure that you already know, but in case you don't, we have successfully acquired all of the easements so that we're way ahead of schedule. The drop dead date was December 17th, I believe.
I think the 18th.
18th, okay. But
17th.
we've acquired all of the easements, so we're ready to go and proceed as on schedule as we thought we were going to do. I would like to say thank you to Brud Brown and all his group. I'd like to say thank you to Carrie. Legal, we didn't have an easy time on this, but I couldn't have gotten it done without these two gentlemen. So Brad, thank you so much. And Carrie, thank you.
Go ahead. So when you mentioned Trey, it reminded me of one other item from the construction committee meeting. Since we're under legal, I can ask here. The well number one, we are waiting on the land swap to start drilling. Did we get that done? The land swap paperwork?
We have the deed now,
So it's
to get the
everything's done.
TCEQ.
Okay, excellent.
And then I guess I probably need to add this on here, but hopefully not for too long. The legislative or there's a litigation committee, and we met to discuss the potential of the mediation that was originally scheduled for Wednesday here in a couple of days on the generator project. That has been postponed until the spring. I don't think all the attorneys had reviewed enough information to feel like it could have been productive. So we're holding off on the mediation with that group. And the offer had been sent in on the San Marcos issue. And obviously we don't have Trey to have any discussion on that yet, but we don't have more movement on that yet. I know that the draft amendment, both the short form and the long form, are with all of the Hayes Caldwell member entities, and we're kind of waiting on some red lines back from them. So I kind of quasi gave Trey's report for him.
Yeah, I concur.
Okay. Any other questions on item 7? Okay, items 8A, general business. Discuss, consider, and take possible action on resolution 2511-003, amending the board of directors admin policy to include a revised email policy. It is my personal wishes to see this item live or die tonight and not be back on this agenda another time. And so let's have a discussion here. We intentionally, at the executive committee level, did not have this on the agenda for y'all last month because we did not have Ruben here, and we didn't want you to ask a question that only Ruben could answer, and we have to postpone it another month. So here we are. We have Ruben. We have enough people in the room to make a decision. I will pass the email policy on to Ruben.
The email policy pretty much outlines the reasons for its adoption. Certainly security and compliance, professionalism and identity, reputation management and monitoring. I don't know what else I can add. The return of the assets is always important to include in your email policy if in fact the entity or organization is going to be issuing iPhones or iPads or whatever it is, and you want to make sure you get those back. But the more important part of this email policy is the security and compliance, and just to be able to make sure that everybody is operating under the same system. Once again, I can't tell you how many times we've gotten Public Information Act requests, and we're having to chase down different sources for the information. If those emails are all coming through our server, then we have the ability to grab all of them. The problem is that some of you all may be communicating with each other, and we don't have those in our server. So that way we have to, because of that, we have to go and call you, chase you down to see if you have things that may be responsive to the Public Information Act request. So it's just better if we have one email system. Every one of you has an email that's tied directly to the Canyon Regional Water Authority server, and we go forward with it. Almost every client that I represent has an email policy. We don't have separate emails. I don't know what else I can tell you. I think I've said this many, many times before. The policy says what the policy says. It's written very succinctly. All the reasons are there. Hope you will adopt it. Legal certainly recommends that you adopt it. I hope you will.
Okay, discussion on item 8A. I think the emails are actually already been created.
How are we going
But
to read
each
the
one-
emails?
Sorry.
How are we going to read the emails if we can't use private anything?
I'm
And
not
it
sure.
says it says on the return policy, we need to return pads, phones, tablets, and computers. So are we all getting phones, tablets, and computers?
Yeah, the electronic policy got voted down, or we aren't going to have electronics handed out, iPads handed out.
Then how are we going to read emails if we have private?
I have no way to comply if we pass it.
There was another in here, trying to find it, where it basically says security and surveillance. I can't find it. Somewhere it says CRWA has access to review all emails and what.
See if I
So who is CRWA? I'm CRWA. Mr. Gibbs is CRWA. What if Mr. Gibbs wants to look at Mr. Ramos's email? Can they inspect the other person's email or Mr. Rohan's email or Ms. Frankie's email?
Let me see if I can answer that. I have a personal iPhone, like many of you do. As soon as I get this, I hand it over to my IT guy. He programs it so that I get all office emails on my personal iPhone. If I ever leave the firm, I get to keep my iPhone, but I'm expected to turn it back in so he can wipe out the application that allows me to be able to receive emails to and from my firm. So, I mean, I'm never at a loss in terms of emails, even though this device is my personal device. It's very easy. It's not difficult at all, guys.
I'm currently using the CRWA email. I've got it on my phone. I've got it on my laptop. I've got it on my desktop.
Does that comply with what was the policy we shut down, Mr. Rohan? Electronics?
Yes, it
Right.
does, because
Yeah.
it's not CRWA property.
I don't think we disallowed the use of electronics in the same manner that I'm reading an agenda off of my computer here. It's not a CRWA computer. I'm reading it right here. I think that was kind of the gist of the devices, was you can bring your own device to read your packet. We're just not going to print out 100 packets for you.
Yeah.
And we're not going to provide you an iPad to do so. I'm sorry, Mr. Gibbs. Go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt. The day I leave as a trustee, it will be going off my phone, but CRWA will still have access to all of it for historical purposes.
Yes.
If it ever gets called, that they need to track one of my emails or some subject matter, they have full access to it. I no longer have access to it. It comes off my phone.
Yeah. And when I bought my computer, once again, it's a personal device. It's a PC. I brought it in, gave it to my IT guy. He implemented all the emails on it. So I have the ability to go on all the emails either using my PC or using my phone. It's just not a big deal.
Who is the person that will do that?
We have an IT person under contract that does that.
Be here, Holster, would
Yeah.
do it for us.
Who is it?
Here, Holster.
Yeah. So I guess the question, Martin and Nick, is there something in the policy you're reading that says that you can't use the computer in front of you right now or your phone to access these emails? Are you asking the question on, can I access these emails through my phone?
I do not have email on my phone anywhere in my life. I've got 5 or 6 emails that I monitor. I monitor them through a computer and a computer phone. So if there's a way to do it through my computer, if there's webmail, if there's a link that I can go through webmail, that I can do it through a browser, then I'm okay. I do not know how to set that up. I'm going to need some assistance. And I would recommend that we get that assistance done before we implement a formal policy that says, because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have it. You can email me all day long. And then when you pick up the phone and call me or email me offline, you're breaking the rules.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
It is available through the web browser.
It is, okay. All I need is
Some help.
know how to get there
Okay.
and get in. I've got no problem connecting to a web browser to it.
Okay.
No
My
problem with that.
my concern with the question is I thought y'all saw something in the policy that basically said you can't access the email. on the-
I'm telling you, how are we gonna implement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about boots on the ground, no eating the roads, and
Yeah.
this is not an option for me, and you can fire me, shoot me, I told my people that employ me, no.
Yeah.
I'm not taking all my-
But before we start doing, including emails on your phone or emails on your computer and or both, or any other device you have, it's important to have a policy in place that allows Kerry and his IT contractor to be able to go and do that. It's got to be this way. You cannot start doing all this without the policy and then adopt the policy. You got to adopt the policy in order to be able to have the authority to be able to go and do this.
And so to me, the minute we update policy, we have to have everything in place. I mean, there's no, otherwise, the minute we approve it, we're in violation. People accessing the emails right now, I don't see where they're in violation.
So
I think we make sure everybody's got access to emails. I don't have a problem approving the policy. I understand the background of it. I just want to know, how are we going to implement? How is the rubber going to be?
Can
Yeah,
we-
so-
can-
His,
I'm
his i-
sorry. Can we do it where we approve the policy and have a deadline date of which
Effective
everything
date.
has to be?
No, I was gonna say.
90-day implementation date?
Certainly. Absolutely, sure. But it'll be Carrie's IT contractor person, whoever that's going to be handling all this.
I mean, we've been working on this for a while. If everyone's okay with the language, I'm not telling you how to vote. If everyone's okay with the language, can we do this with a 90-day implementation window that gives everyone enough time to find out? And if all of a sudden we're
Yeah.
hearing from 5, 6, 7, 8 trustees saying there is no effective way for me to do this, then, we revisit it. But let's get this thing at least going.
Yes, sir, you can.
I think the simplest part of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ruben, is that basically we're establishing a domain that all of our transactions are done under so that it's on the same server and so it's accessible by legal, IT, whomever, but it's all done under that domain. It doesn't matter what device it's done on. That's not the issue. It is strictly based upon having a set domain so that it can be accessed as needed by the entity, by CRWA. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
So I have a basic question, just going back to this whole reluctance. What if someone's reluctant to do it, a board member that comes to this board, is appointed by a utility for this board, and that board member doesn't want anything to do with this? What happens then? Is this a board policy? Is this state act, legislature? What is this that prevents us from having a board member sit here that doesn't want to undertake this
Well, I
endeavor?
mean, it's a board policy, and if you don't want to participate, that means you're not going to be getting emails. You don't get the emails, you don't get to send emails, you don't get to respond to emails. You're basically kind of out in the cold if you don't want to participate.
Well, I disagree with you because I mean, you can still see the agenda, you can still see stuff like that. I mean,
Well, sure,
communication.
but I'm talking
I
about
think-
putting something on your
Yeah, but I
iPhone.
just want to be clear that we're not preventing any board member that potentially wants to come to this board, that has a right to be at this board, that we're excluding them from participating in this board.
No,
I want that to be clear because I think that's my heartburn is that,
No,
I agree with the phone. I don't want my phone be sent to someone else who I don't even know to look at my phone and do whatever they're going to do to it. I think the procedures, I'd like the 90 days to figure this out because I think we need procedures.
And if
Let me-
we
let me
don't, if we're not going to receive emails, I mean, they can courier stuff to us. They can bring us
Sure.
hard copies.
yeah,
There's ways around it.
there's ways around it.
They can go on the CRWA website and download it directly from the CRWA website like everyone else in the public can.
Let me clarify one more thing. When I turn my phone over to the IT guy or my personal computer over to the IT guy so that he can configure me being able to get emails or send emails, he's not looking at anything else. He cannot look at my phone. Anything else I have on my phone, he can't monitor it. He can't look at it. He's just simply adding the email feature on there that allows you to be able to get emails, respond to the emails, send emails. That's all he's doing. Nobody's monitoring anything. Well, it's,
But that needs to be.
you can certainly add it in there. I'm just telling you
I'm
that
just saying, yeah,
IT can't do that.
well,
Operationally, they can't do that.
So from an IT perspective, they don't have access to be able to do that. All they're doing is configuring an email client on your phone, and then they're done. They don't have any access to your phone. They only have access to your email. Your email sits on a server.
Mhm.
but I understand that, but they're sitting over there. Oh, let me take a look at text
If I
that
hand
he's
you my
got
phone right now, you can look at anything on.
on my phone. Exactly.
While
Because I've,
I'm configuring it, yes.
Yeah.
After that, I don't have
So-
access.
Correct.
So I don't think anyone's being required to hand their phone over to anybody. I'm trying to find in a policy where it says you must hand your personal phone over, your personal devices over to CRWA. It looks like they're going to monitor your email communication. That's no different than what any of your own entities do right now. Yeah, not a problem. I think we can get you that in a 90-day implementation window. I think the idea that you're going to have to hand your phone over for somebody to snoop through it, I just think, I mean, unless you just are having that much trouble entering in the email and the password and credentials in, I don't think that's something you're going to have to be concerned about.
but you don't have to have it on your phone. You can go to your browser and get to it. That's what I do with mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will tell you for mine, I use my personal device for work and my IT, whatever her title is, IT. She can go in and literally change my password for my company email address and never has to touch my phone. So it takes it away from me, the accessibility away.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
And you can have either or. You don't have to have both.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just choose to have both.
I was just saying, since we're giving it the 90 days, that maybe it's not very hard, like Mr. Gibbs said, to add, if you wanted to add an email client to your device. And I understand that people want to do it through the web browser. But since we do have a contract with an IT company, maybe Carrie can talk with them and maybe they can just create a set of instructions
Yeah, thank you.
that everybody can just follow to do it themselves, and then nobody has to worry about handing their phone over to anybody. That everybody will get the same instructions how to do it on their device, and they choose if they want to do it or not.
My thing is I'd much rather it be the domain for Canyon Regional that they're going through whenever there's an open records request versus my Yahoo or something like that.
Well, I mean, we just get to the challenge of, we had a board president in Mr. Foose, right? Who's no longer here. He's no longer employed with the city of Cibolo. How do we get his emails? How do we get his emails where he communicated with another trustee who's not here today? What do we do? How do we force the city of Cibolo to comply with us? And so even worse than an open records request for the city of Cibolo is not going to be subject to the same amount of scrutiny as we'd want to subject it to if it was to do with some form of litigation, which makes it even more concerning, right? Will the city of Cibolo be as diligent in an open records request as we would be in protecting that information? So,
I'd say we have two.
but I'm not trying, I'm not trying to pick on the city of Cibolo. I'm just using it as a great example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Office 365, it's out in the cloud and it's accessible for the rest of eternity. It's a mayor account. It's not a market account. And it's there. And if I go through and if I just arbitrarily start deleting emails, legally, it's my ass.
Yeah.
Sure. Let me give you a final example, and this has nothing to do with Public Information Act request. It has nothing to do with discovery under litigation, which is almost the same thing as a Public Information Act request. This goes back now maybe about 8 months. Brandon, I don't even remember the opinion that I sent you, but I had to send you an opinion. But I sent you the opinion to the East Central website. So even though the opinion was privileged and confidential to Canyon Regional Water Authority, East Central has a copy of that now and will forever and ever and ever. It's now part of their business records. It should not be, but it is a part of the business records. So if I send you something, now it's going to be part of your entity, and we don't want that. The idea is if I'm going to send out opinions or I'm going to send out very, very confidential either memos or emails or whatever, that they stay and only stay within the Canyon Regional. Yes, sorry.
Any other discussion on this topic? I think we've killed this one.
Mhm.
We would need a motion
Server.
to pass this.
That's server, sorry.
We would need a motion to pass this, and or a motion to not pass it, yes, sir. And if there is a motion to pass it, I strongly suggest there being an implementation window. Do we have a motion on item
I'll make a
8A?
motion to approve item 8A with an implementation period of 90 days.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Okay. I'm going to give that one to Doris. I think Doris was the second. I think I heard her start first. We got a second by Doris. Any other discussion on this topic?
I personally can't explain to you how important this is. I had a case one time, we had 10,000 emails and we went at people's different laptops and servers and everything else. And there was some pretty raunchy stuff in there. So you really don't know how important this is.
With that being said, is there any other discussion on the topic?
That's what Martin's trying to hide over there.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
We have one in opposition. Okay, that motion passed. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the good discussion. We need to have good discussions, and I think it's always healthy to have differing opinions on items, so appreciate it.
Legal thanks you.
Item 8B, discuss, consider, and take possible action on Resolution 25-11-004 declaring SIPCON as a successful bidder for the Hayes Caldwell Phase 1 pipeline project and authorizing a general manager to issue a notice of award and execute an agreement for such work at a not-to-exceed price of $773,738.25. I will turn this over to staff.
And so we received 11 bids for this project, which we were pleasantly surprised to see. Mr. Rodriguez did a lot of groundwork reaching out to contractors. The successful bidder was well below the cost estimate. If I remember correctly, the cost estimate was 1.2 and change. However, four other bidders were within $100,000 of that cost, so I don't feel like it was extraneous. They were just able to get a better cost. My guess is that they priced in a lot less risk than the others. Given the seemingly simple construction for this project. But anyway, references were checked by the design engineer. They all came back very positive. We did meet with CivCon to discuss starting before December 18th. They're wanting to really hit the ground running and get going just as right after Thanksgiving and start construction, get as much done before the end of the year as possible. So staff does recommend approval of this construction contract. I will say there were two alternative bid items. One was for contingency of 3%. The other was for a demobilization and remobilization line item in the event that we didn't have all of the easements at the time of construction. We do have all the easements now, so that will not be used. And we will stay away from the contingency just as much as possible.
So I'd like to point out in the bid tab, all of the bidders, or at least these bottom four, were well below the engineer's estimate. So it doesn't come across to me as anything alarming that CivCon was below the engineer's estimate. So that's a good thing. And I would make a motion unless anyone has any questions. I was going to ask you to talk about the two alternates, but you did that. So.
Yes, sir.
Just that this was budgeted, so this isn't an extra cost that we weren't expecting. Okay, do we have a motion on item 8B?
So moved, Mr. Ramos.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item? I'm sorry, Mr. Ramos, Mr. Sherman.
And this is just through Reedville, right?
This is the Reedville portion of the pipeline. Yes, ma'am. I think that was about a mile or so, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, from the railroad tracks probably to 238.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion is passed. Thank you. Glad that we were able to meet schedule. Item 8C, discuss, consider, and take possible action on Resolution 25-11-005, approving an amendment to the CRWA fiscal year 2026 budget to reflect a reallocation of costs within the Wells Ranch project and a transfer of remaining funds from the fiscal year 25 budget to the fiscal year 26 budget.
And so there are actually two different items under this one. The first, we received requests from both County Line Special Utility District and Maxwell Special Utility District asking to be removed the allocation for Wells Ranch 3 to be taken out of that group. Combined, they were allocated about 5,000 acre feet per year. And the costs, there's sheets in your packet that show the current budget for 2026 and also the budget with County Line and Maxwell being removed from Wells Ranch 3, but without that 5,000 acre feet being spoken for. And what that does, essentially, the way that the budget is done is it raises the cost per acre foot from $184 and change to a little over $225 and change. Unless one of the other entities wants to speak up for, some or all of that 5,000 acre feet. And I mentioned earlier in the meeting, that's why I want to have a discussion with all of the Wells Ranch members to see, if anybody, wants more water and how much, because, it's going to impact our costs moving forward if we don't, get a good beat on what we're going to want in the future and potentially offload whatever leases we don't think we're going to want.
So you have a meeting scheduled next week, right? For that discussion on maybe what to do with that water?
It's not scheduled yet. We're going to be getting it scheduled as soon as possible. Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry, Wells Ranch. Yes,
Okay.
that is scheduled. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
On the
Are,
18th.
are we currently, we're not currently billing Maxwell and County Line for the water, are we?
We are not.
Okay, so they're not late on payments and we're not showing them as in arrears, correct?
That's correct.
So could we wait on this item till after you have that meeting and have a better idea of who may want the water or not?
Yes,
Because
sir.
right now, the way I think it's being proposed is basically anyone in Wells Ranch would be covering those costs.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Perfect. But where I was going with this earlier was, I haven't seen this at my Green Valley Board meeting, so at least we would make a budget amendment at our home entity
Mhm.
to account for this before I took a vote here. I'm not sure how everybody else handles this type of thing, but that's what we would do. If there was going to be a meeting next week, I agree. Maybe this could be tabled if it's no emergency to do this action. Maybe let's let the Wells Ranch folks, general managers talk, report back to our boards, and then everyone can fully understand, the ramifications of this action.
As I just didn't want us to be continuing to put Maxwell and County Line on the hook and they've got this showing up as debt that they're not paying, like they're, they clearly asked us before the start of this budget that they don't want to be a part of this. So I want to make sure we're not trying to bill them and they're not paying and it looks weird and when it shouldn't. That was my number one concern here. I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
I agree with y'all's comments. The only concern I have is what you brought up right off the bat, Carrie, with regards to, there's two items here. I would have liked to have seen two separate items. When I read this, was the first thing, why isn't this separated?
Okay.
And so, y'all need to make your decisions with regards to Wells Ranch 3, but I'm also concerned with that other item that's attached to this.
Understood. And the other, under this agenda item, the other item is, we had the budget committee meeting this week and I put that on here, in case there were any recommendations for transferring the remaining funds. We did not come out of the budget committee meeting with any recommendations, so there's not anything on this resolution for it.
Second.
Okay, so
Before you take a vote, I was just going to say that even though it's phrased as one, you could certainly have two separate motions if you wanted to. You could certainly divide it if you want to, but the motion's been made to table it, and that's fine.
okay, so we have a motion to table. Is there any further discussion on this item? Do y'all understand what we're doing here on tabling this item to a future date? Okay, all those in favor? We're going to have a December meeting. We're going to have a December meeting. I feel confident on. Okay, all those in favor of this item, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. It's tabled. Item 8D, discuss, consider, and take possible action on resolution 25-011-006, approving change order number 1 in the amount of $199,180.80 for the additional costs that will occur due to increases in tariffs and a change in currency exchange rate for those and equipment provided for the Hayes Caldwell Improvements Phase 2 project. Mr. Sherman touched on this a little bit in the construction committee report about the change in currency. If you went through the packet to look at the contract, you'll see that they were on the hook for a 3% change in either direction. If the currency got stronger, anything over 3%, they would have actually refunded back to us. As the currency got weaker, anything that was over 3%, we were on the hook for. So it actually went both ways, which is kind of interesting. I kind of figured it would have only been a one way, but it actually went both ways. And so it looks like the way they did their math is they said, okay, the currency's weakened by 12%. We're on the hook for 3 of that 12%. You're on the hook for the other 9.6% of that. And here you go. Here's your change order for your tariffs and your change order for your currency exchange.
Will that be revisited at a future date? And was that yesterday's number or today's number?
So
Yeah, or what about tomorrow's number?
I apologize. Let me look, but I'm pretty sure in the change order, it said that they're responsible for anything over within the next 6 months.
Okay,
Can I take a
but
look at that?
what if it comes back in our favor within the next 6 months?
Well, I think it's locked in at this point. The contractor already put a down payment in to lock it in where we were. So
Okay,
there should be no change. Are you nodding or shaking your head, Bobby? Okay, all right, yeah.
Does that make y'all feel more comfortable? Well, I mean, we've been talking about this for a while at the construction committee. I've never heard of currency exchange, although it's not too often I'm ordering something from Sweden for East Central. So, but this was a new one, and I think staff will keep a kind of close eye on that.
Yeah.
Although
Do it on me.
my guess is that the contractors will be watching this quite a bit more with the uncertainty in tariffs and other things. I think you'll see it quite a bit in some of your construction agreements.
And I will say that the contractor also is getting hit with a increase on their, is it the HVAC equipment, Bobby? Yeah, and, but we did not pre-negotiate that cost. And so Bobby has told the contractor that we would like for them to absorb that cost. It's a much lesser cost, but we'll, take what we can
Move
get.
to approve resolution 25-011-006. Ramos.
Okay, Mr. Gilbert was our second. Sorry, Regina. Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, motion passed. Ayes have it. Thank you. For item 9, we do not have Trey here. We gave you a quick update on where we are in the 2 litigation. If any one of you wants to have some more questions about items 9A and B in executive session, we can definitely hold executive session. But without Trey here, I don't know if we need to have that executive session item. Do any of you feel strongly about going into executive session? Did you have some questions you may have wanted to ask in executive session? I don't want to keep you from being able to have a discussion you may wanted to have. No, I don't think so. I don't think we have to. No, ma'am.
Covered at the next meeting.
We did have return to open meeting. We had 2 items here. One, anticipation of a San Marcos, maybe a counteroffer or a settlement of some sort. That didn't come to fruition. And then we were looking for some authority for the litigation committee. We had a mediation plan for Wednesday that is not going to happen. So we don't need that authority. It doesn't make sense for y'all to give that authority to us today, especially without Trey. So we don't have any action items that come out of there anyways on items 10A and B. Okay, so not hearing any strong will to go in executive session here, we will go to future board member agenda items. The next Board of Trustees meeting date is December 8th, 2025. I think we're going to have a meeting. I think that we will have some more information from the city of San Marcos. I would hope we're having a meeting in December. If we don't, and y'all are open to it, we could cancel the meeting. But I think y'all should put this in your calendar for December 8th. I really think we're going to probably hold a meeting. No, 90 days, then you'll get your email. Thank you.
So,
We're
We'll be real for you.
so last month, we came out of executive session and we gave the legislative committee authority to make decisions regarding San Marcos.
Yes.
Are we going to have a similar item come out of next month's meeting with regard to Tri-Hydro?
Good question. Yes, I think so. I don't think that formal authority has happened in a resolution form like it has for the San Marcos. So yeah, I would expect to see something from Trey on that for the Tri-Hydro. That litigation and mediation is probably going to be spring before we get to it. So we still have a little bit of time, but we'd be better off getting that authority sooner rather than later. Thank you.
I think Mr. Porter said legislative. It should be.
He meant litigation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting.
Public wants to know that.
Yeah.
And go ahead and send my instructions to the CRW email.
Okay. So we heard from I'm sorry, go ahead. You've been trying to ask a question.
I just wanted one clarification. I believe tied to 9C, the tabled item 9C, the second part. In the finance committee meeting, I heard that we do transfer unspent funds from one budget year into a general fund in the next budget year. But I also heard that we don't see that on our finances. So it may be tied to 9C. I may be asking for a different item.
8C?
Did I say 8C?
General business? 9C is an executive session.
Yes, I'm sorry. 8C, thank you. But I want to understand how much money is being transferred to a general fund, what line item that general fund is, and what's being spent out of that general fund. So I don't know if it's tied to 8C or if I'm asking for something more. I'll let you figure that out. But I do want to follow up on that because that was kind of eye-opening when I was in the finance committee and we were talking about that. So I don't know where I want to hear it, but I want to hear it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So the other thing we heard, from the board of managers report was a recommendation to push for a master plan, and at the board of managers meeting, we made sure to say it needs to include Hayes Caldwell. Is there, do we want to have an agenda item on here to give staff that direction next month? Do y'all interested in hearing more about that?
I've been, pushing for a master plan for a while, so yes.
Brandon, my only comment is that I think the last plan we had excluded Hayes Caldwell. I can't remember what
That's
plan
what I
that
was
was.
just saying, yeah.
So we need to make sure it's going to be the whole system,
The
not
whole
just.
system.
But I want to go back to Mr. Sherman's comment. I think with regards to item 8C, if we're going to make a decision, I think each line item that potentially has monies that may be transferred over is not so much how much is there, but what is typically the trend, what is left over, and how does it get assigned to the next, the future, the next year, but also how do we reconcile? Because some stuff comes after the year, right? So, I mean, we have payments, we have stuff that we receive January, February. I'm assuming January because that's what happens with us, and then we reconcile. So how do we make sure that we're going to, earmark that money that needs to be paid for? And so when the budget committee goes through this process, making sure they reconcile the time that's going to take, making sure what items are going to be changed over and deposited, and then certainly what Mr. Chairman is stating, his big picture. But I want to know before I make a decision, how is this going to work for
Yeah,
next
of
year?
course. Yeah, I think we'll have a presentation from the budget committee when they're ready to show that. So it's all on the up and up, and we can understand what we're doing. And any other items for next month's agenda? Again, I feel confident we're going to have a December meeting. I'm sorry, everyone, but I think we've got some important things going on. Yes, sir.
Question, is the master plan going to be something generated internally or externally?
I think it would be externally. Yeah. I mean, but we'll let the board visit on that next month.
Do we have to bid it out? Who's going to do it?
I would prefer to release an RFQ for that service.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have a good discussion on that when we have it as an agenda item next month and kind of address any concerns you may have. Okay. with
Motion
that,
to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn. All right. Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.